So, we've got some kind of good news. Our SOAR team, our Students Organized Against Racism, which is the student branch of our buildings equity team, has been working really hard to look at the English curriculum and the choice of literature that's used, and had some suggestions for what that could look like moving forward to make sure that it's more racially equitable and that more people's stories are represented. They went through, and I think I talked about this in the previous video, but they went through and looked at all of the authors and all the characters that are in these books, and how the pattern is that the vast majority are done by white men. And so they wanted to go in and ensure that there were multiple perspectives and that everybody had the opportunity to see themselves in the literature. And so they're starting to already make some real change and some impact, of offering up an example of a book that might be able to be used, and replacing one of the books that are currently in the curriculum. And I'm just so proud of these students that they shared their experiences, their stories of how they were impacted by it and how they're impacted by not seeing themselves in the literature. And then we're making some steps in the right direction. So I'm really grateful for all of the people that have been listening to these students and that have been willing to be allies and to help shape a curriculum that truly is culturally responsive and meets the needs of all of our students. So that's pretty exciting. I'm really happy. These students, I've said before, they are the change that we need to have and we need to be listening to. And I'm really excited to see what that is. And I think the pushback that inevitably will happen is people are going to talk about, one, either censorship, or two, people are just too sensitive and that type of stuff. And I just think that's such a garbage argument. It's not censoring. There's a vast ocean of resources and knowledge of books available, literature available for schools to have. And, so removing one of the books isn't about the book in and of itself. It still could be a great book, but it's about looking at a holistic view of what are we presenting to our students, of whose story gets to be told and which characters are our heroes. All of that comes into play, and we want to make sure that as a whole in our district and in our schools, that students get to see the beauty and of the diversity of our nation and of our world in those roles. And so, sorry, you may have a favorite book, whether it's Huck Finn or, Of Mice and Men or something else. And that's great. When it's not telling students that they shouldn't read it or that it's not a good book, but, if there's issues that are problematic within it and that may be difficult, that but it also comes from a white perspective and only shows certain things, then we can replace that with a different perspective, and still cover the difficult concepts, but making sure that it's not always from a white lens. So I'm excited about that. And no, people aren't too sensitive. Representation matters. Children as toddlers already start to form who is beautiful, who's smart, who's kind, who's good, and all these different things. And it's because of the way things are portrayed in our media and in our education system. And so we do need to change that. It's not just being sensitive, it's making sure that everybody gets to be represented and see themselves in the heroes and the villains, because we all have great capacity for good and for evil. So anyway, pretty hyped about that and look forward to seeing what these students accomplish moving forward. We'll see you tomorrow.